Steve, this is the final stage of product development. That journey you've mapped us through. Stages 1, having that idea, putting it into a two-dimensional form of on paper or on the screen, to stage 2, where we take that two-dimensional and we go to the three-dimensional, where we have a prototype that we've perhaps done in joint effort with a manufacturing expert or an engineer, designer of some sort. Now let's talk about stage 3, which to me seems like a lot has to happen in this stage as well. Stage 2 is heavy duty, stage 3 seems heavy duty.
Yeah.
So let's talk about stage 3 in more detail. What do we need to know?
So stage 3 is manufacturing and distribution of your actual physical good, your product. So you're going to have to take the groundwork that you laid in stage 2 and the person who you brought on who speaks factory language and can communicate,
yes.
and you need to talk about how much it's going to cost to create a mold or a tooling piece, which is the thing that makes the thing. You have to make the thing that makes the thing before you can have any things. And that's an important part. And
very technically put.
Oh, absolutely. It's all scientific. It's very technical. But you have to understand that this is a major cost. This is a major financial cost.
So if we're making a strap, or we're making a band, or we're making a bench, or we're making a ball, in your case, this was the speedball. So there has to be a way by which these things are made, whether it's a mold or there's a pattern. Let's say if it's for clothing, there's a pattern.
Absolutely,
okay.
Right. And now what you're talking about is how many parts does it have? How do they fit together? What type of functionality does it need to be? Is it just, is it a wood block with your logo on it? Great. Probably not going to be that hard to create a mold for it. You can probably crank that out in low numbers just by contacting a screening person or people that already make that good. But if your idea is original, it's not a good or a product that already exists in the market today,
yeah.
because there's some unique functionality like the speedball is,
right.
Then you might have to have multiple molds. You might have to have part of it made in this factory or this country, or part of it made in that. It may be the outside versus the inside. Or you create a much more expensive, more effective tooling mold that makes the whole thing at once in some sort of process through heat injection and sealing techniques. These are things you have to look at, and so you need a quote on that price.
Gotcha.
And at that point, depending on your resources, you may have to use that prototype, get those numbers, get quantity run numbers for manufacturing, create a business plan, and seek investors.
Okay. Because this sounded expensive.
I mean, it's not necessarily cheap. It depends on what you're making.
So it's one thing if you're creating a T-shirt that's based on something that's already that's an existing product. It's existing fabric. It's an existing pattern. The brand is already a company that will rebrand for you. That's a different story.
Let's use clothing as an example because it's a good one, because Speedball Fitness is doing that too.
Okay.
Is it the line that already exists, that's already in their machinery that they've created systems to develop, and print in mass quantity? Or are you doing private label? Are you tweaking manufacturing? Are you creating a new pattern?
Or using different fabric? Or
far different discussion, completely different cost. So, probably most people start with your basic, Hanes or Beefy t-shirt and have their logo screened on or printed on. My first t-shirt for Speedball Fitness was a heat seal. I used an iron in my living room.
Right.
And then
gotta start somewhere.
I've stepped up to screening, and then we've even done some embroidering, as the hat that you're looking at right now. And you go from lower quality to higher quality, and the price point is higher, and so is the profit point.
Yes.
So there's a direct relationship, something to know. Nothing wrong with that, but what is your available budget, and what are the risks that you're willing to take, and how much can you front yourself? And then who is the person who's going to create the business plan and the pitch for you to speak to, even if it's just family members,
right,
to come in on your idea? Okay, so you got this thing. What does it cost for 100? What does it cost for 5,000?
Right.
What does it cost for 25,000? 3 completely different scales. And you have to have those answers so that when the standard questions come your way, you are able to answer with confidence and clarity. That's important.
And when you say, these standard questions come your way, it's that idea of where is this product going? Is this something that's highly localized? Is it only going to be people that are working at your gym that are wearing this shirt and you only have one gym? Or is it the kind of thing where you're going to sell it, you're going to trade shows, it's going to be sold online, there's going to be connection to workout products or other things that might pique people's interest to buy that shirt because they're doing the workout, and that's where the 25,000 pieces comes into play. Whereas for some of us, we are starting with a product idea and we don't see where 25,000 people are going to use it.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you're pitching differentiation, and you have to have someone that can do that effectively. So the questions are, how is it different? What does it cost? What do we make off of it? And how will we distribute it? How will we be successful in selling it? Is it out of the trunk of your car, or are you partnered with a large fitness body, food and nutrition company, online site that has hands in with multiple partnerships with online distributors, and all those things affect the upfront costs and what the end game will be.
It sounds like, Steve, that there are a lot of moving pieces, but if we wanted to break this down and take a breath and feel like it's a little bit simpler to grasp, that we think of, okay, what do we need to know now that we have this product and we have this prototype and we know how we want to make it? Now it's time to do our due diligence in terms of figuring out where's the best place to get it made and how can I afford that and what am I going to sell it for, with regard to the near future and with an eye on a little bit farther down the line or a lot further down the line, knowing that what we're doing right now is probably all we need to meet fiscally. Financially, we may need to have the money, we only need to have the money for what's going on soon. But if later we do want this t-shirt or this whatever to be replicated by the tens of thousands, that's something to have an idea that you're going to be working towards as you progress.
Right, and how will you fund that, and who will fund that?
Exactly.
And how will you continue to get that out in the world? And every human being that touches before your prototype or sees your idea, you need to protect yourself by making sure that there's a non-disclosure and a non-compete. And this is the small legal part. And you can pull a template off of line that's not expensive to have.
Right.
There are free ones out there. And so that's not an issue. You don't have to have a lawyer in your living room to do this. But protect yourself and protect your idea, especially before you present it to a factory.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this up because I know we're probably over our budget of time. Yeah, okay.
Right.
But as you can see, this is a big topic, and Steve and I could go into a lot of detail about it. To keep it simple, just know that as you come out of prototype phase or phase 2, the homework in phase 3 is to figure out how to manufacture this piece. So where does it need to happen? What are the materials? Can I afford it? What's the price point? What's the budget? And to also know whether or not down the line you want to grow this, expand it into a much bigger or larger scale production. And in doing that, there are certain questions you have to be thinking about along the way. So just know if that's a yes or a no. Throughout every part of this phase, particularly from stage 1 even, when you wrote that idea down on paper, get yourself prepared, have a template for your non-disclosure agreement so that anybody you show that sketch to, anybody you show that prototype to, anybody who touches it, who helps you practice and bang out ideas over the weekend to see if this thing worked or this thing didn't work, have them sign that non-disclosure so that you're protected the entire length of the journey. Does that sum it up, Steve?
Absolutely, and also know that your first run, whatever your first run may be, that may not be your final product.
Right, a starter run. It's good for us to set expectations.
Yep.
It's not a fail. It's not a fail at all if the first run is not your favorite. It's not going to be your next step. It's actually part of the process.
It absolutely is.
Okay, excellent. Well, go get them then. Get your product idea onto paper and out into a prototype and then out into the world. Let us know how it works for you. You can email us. My email is info@lifemoveshealth.com. And Steve?
SpeedballSteve at speedballfitness.com, and you can reach out to us for any challenges that you have. We'd love to hear your story.
Okay, thanks guys. Good luck.